If you're from Bangladesh and you're dreaming of studying abroad sometime around 2026, this is for you. This isn't just another explainer. Think of this as your mission briefing. You are the hero of your own story. And believe it or not, your journey doesn't start at the airport. It starts right here, right now. And your mission is to arm yourself with the truth. So let's get into it.
We have to start right here with this quote, because it just cuts through all the noise, doesn't it? I mean, the dream you've been sold, the one you see all over social media, is that perfect graduation photo, cap in the air, big smile. But the reality for far too many is a desperate, lonely struggle, thousands of miles from everything you know. The story that no one tells is the story of survival, and that's the one we've got to prepare for.
Okay, so first things first. We have to understand how the entire game has changed. We are living through what's being called the Great Correction. And what that means is that the old rules, the old maps for studying abroad, they're not just out of date. Frankly, they're dangerous.
Just look at this slide. On the left, that was the old dream, right? Before 2024. The whole strategy was kind of just go. You'll figure it out when you get there. People genuinely believed a part-time job could cover rent, food, everything. And that path from studying to working to getting permanent residency, it felt almost automatic. But the 2026 reality? It's a completely different world. Countries like Canada, the UK, Australia, they are slamming on the brakes. They're putting hard caps on student visas, they're jacking up the financial requirements. That old path isn't just broken. For a lot of people, it's gone.
And that right there, that's the real twist. We spend all this time, all this energy worrying about the visa interview, the test scores, the bank statements. But here's the truth. For the people who are truly prepared, getting the visa is just step one. The real test, the one that decides if you succeed or fail, starts the second your plane touches down.
So this leads us to the most important document you're going to need. And no, it's not issued by any embassy. It's something you have to build entirely yourself. Let's talk about what I call your psychological visa.
Okay, what on earth is a psychological visa? Well, think of it as your internal shock absorber. It's your ability to handle the crushing pressure of being completely and totally on your own. Identity fragmentation. That's that bizarre feeling of not really belonging anywhere anymore. Not in your new country, but not really in the one you left behind either. And executive dysfunction. That's when simple adult stuff like paying a bill or figuring out the bus system after a 12-hour work shift suddenly feels impossible. Your psychological visa is your resilience. It's your survival score.
So let's break that down. What is this visa actually made of? Well, first, solitude resilience. Can you handle the deep, painful loneliness of a long, dark winter when you haven't made any real friends yet? Then there's executive function. Can you actually cook for yourself, manage confusing paperwork, solve problems when you're sick and your parents are thousands of miles away? And self-soothing. This one is huge. What happens when you fail an exam or you lose your part-time job? Can you calm yourself down and make a new plan? Or is your first instinct to make a panicked phone call home, which really just transfers all that stress onto your family?
This quote just says it all, doesn't it? You can take out a loan for your tuition fees. Your parents might even sell land to cover your living costs. But absolutely nobody can give you the mental toughness to get through a cold, rainy Tuesday when you're sick, you're broke, and you're questioning every single choice you've ever made. That part, you have to build that yourself.
And look, building that resilience is really, really hard. And so many people are trying to do it all alone. If any of this is hitting home for you, and you can think of someone else who needs to hear this, someone who's about to make this huge decision, please just take a second to like, subscribe, and share this with them. You might be giving them the one tool they need to avoid a real crisis.
All right, let's make this super practical for you, right now. Forget all the abstract ideas for a minute. Could you, this coming week, plan, shop for, and cook 7 straight days of meals, all on a very strict budget? If a confusing official letter showed up, could you figure it out and solve the problem completely on your own? This isn't about being smart, it's about having the capacity to handle real life.
Okay, so we've identified the problem, we've talked about the internal skills you need. Now, let's talk about the solution. I'm going to give you a practical toolkit to help you make a truly strategic decision. It's time to stop being a passive dreamer and start becoming a risk architect for your own future.
The framework is a really simple 3-phase process. It's designed to take all the emotion out of this and make it about strategy. First, we are going to imagine the absolute worst-case scenario with something called a pre-mortem. Second, we're going to run your situation through a strict pass-fail test called the 3 gates. And finally, Based on those results, we're going to figure out your real strategic path forward. Now, I'm going to ask you to do something that might feel a little uncomfortable. I want you to fast forward in your mind. Imagine it's December 2028. You're back home in Dhaka, and the dream is over. It failed. You're in debt, and you don't have a degree. Now, write the story. How exactly did it all go so wrong? Be brutally honest and specific.
For instance, in your story, did you spiral into a deep depression from loneliness, stop going to class, and get your visa canceled? Did you have to take illegal, cash-in-hand work shifts just to pay your rent, which then caused your grades to completely collapse? Or maybe the taka crashed against the dollar and suddenly your family's debt back home doubled overnight. Now here's the most important part. If you identify these potential reasons for failure and you realize you have absolutely no way to prevent them right now, then you are not ready to go, period.
Okay, once you've faced those potential failures, you're ready for phase 2, the 3 gates. And think of these like checkpoints in a video game. They are non-negotiable. Gate A is financial solvency. Do you have 1 full year of tuition plus 12 months of living expenses in liquid cash in a bank account right now? Not property you're planning to sell, liquid cash. Gate B is psychological readiness, your visa. Can you prove to yourself that you can handle being an adult and being alone? And Gate C, strategic alignment. Is the subject you want to study actually in demand? Go look up the shortage occupation list for your target country. If you're studying something they don't need, your path to staying after graduation is probably already closed.
After you go through the gates, you'll have one of 3 very clear answers. Go now means you pass all 3 gates no problem. You're a low-risk, high-readiness candidate. Go for it. Go later is not a failure. It is a strategic pause. It means you're a good candidate, but maybe you need a year or 18 months to save more money or build those life skills. And finally, don't go is also a smart strategic choice. It means the risk is just too high right now. The best move is to pivot, to become a master in your field right here in Bangladesh. Maybe focus on getting a remote job that pays you in a foreign currency without all the debt and risk.
So we've gone through the entire framework. Now, let's bring it right back down to earth. What are the first concrete actions you can take, like this week, to start building what I call your survival floor? Well, it starts with a number.
4 hours. What could 4 hours possibly have to do with studying abroad? Well, turns out, everything. This is the silence test, and it's your first challenge. Sometime this week, I want you to find a room and spend 4 hours in it, consecutively, alone. No phone, no laptop, no internet, no books, just you and your thoughts. If you find yourself freaking out, climbing the walls, feeling this unbearable panic, that's a massive red flag. It means you are not ready for the kind of deep isolation that is a guaranteed part of this journey.
Your second challenge is even harder, I'm not going to lie. You have to have the money talk. You need to sit down with your parents and ask them this exact question word for word. If I go and I have to come back in 1 year with nothing, no degree, all the money gone, what happens to our family? And then you need to listen very carefully. If the answer involves financial ruin, selling the family home, or life-altering debt, then the risk is too great. You cannot make a bet where the worst-case scenario destroys your family's security. You just can't.
Ultimately, everything we've talked about today boils down to this one crucial shift in your mindset. For months, maybe years, the question you've been asking is, can I get in? Can I get the visa? Can I go? Starting today, I need you to change the question. The only question that matters from this point forward is, can I survive? Can you survive financially? Can you survive psychologically? Can you survive academically?
So I'll leave you with this final thought. We've talked about building a survival floor before you even think about buying a plane ticket. And that's not just a metaphor. This is a construction project, and you are the architect. So my question to you is this. What is the very first brick you're going to lay? Will it be taking the silence test, having the money talk, maybe starting a cooking audit for a week? Your journey to success abroad doesn't begin with an application form. It begins with that first, small, deliberate act of preparation. So go on, start building.